The Nagasena Bhiksu Sutra. Part 2. Dialogues. The person and his name. Then the king asked Nagasena, "Revered sir, what is your name?" Nagasena replied, "My parents gave me the name Nagasena and called me Nagasena. Sometimes they called me Sihasena. Sometimes they called me Surasena. Sometimes they called me Virasena. It is by all these names that people come to recognize me. People in the world are concerned with names only." The king asked, "Who is Nagasena?" He asked further, "Is the head Nagasena?" "No," answered Nagasena, "the head is not Nagasena." "Is the eye, ear, nose, or tongue Nagasena?" asked the king. "No," answered Nagasena, "the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, all of them are not Nagasena." "Is the neck, nape, shoulder, arm, leg, or hand Nagasena?" asked the king. "No, none of them is Nagasena," answered Nagasena. "Is the thigh or foot Nagasena?" asked the king. "No, neither of them is Nagasena." "Is form Nagasena?" "No, it is not Nagasena." "Is feeling Nagasena?" "No, it is not Nagasena." "Is perception Nagasena?" "No, it is not Nagasena." "Is volition Nagasena?" "No, it is not Nagasena." "Are the liver, lungs, heart, spleen, arteries, intestines, or stomach Nagasena?" "No, none of them is Nagasena." "Is the combination of the five, form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness, Nagasena?" "No, the combination of the five is not Nagasena either." "But is the non-coming together of the five things, five, form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness, Nagasena?" "No, great king." "Then is sound or breath Nagasena?" And he still answered no. "But what then is Nagasena?" asked the king. Then Nagasena asked about the name of carriage. "What is a carriage? Is it the axle, the carriage?" "The axle is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the rim the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The rim is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the spoke the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The spoke is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the hub the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The hub is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the shaft the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The shaft is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the yoke the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The yoke is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the framework the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The framework is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the pole the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The pole is not the carriage," the king said. "Is the canopy the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "The canopy is not the carriage," the king said. "Then are all these parts of the wood assembled and left aside the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "No, sir, all these parts put together and left aside is also not the carriage," the king said. "Is all these parts of the wood not assembled the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "If all these parts of the wood are not assembled, it is the carriage," the king said. "Then is sound the carriage?" Nagasena asked. "No, sir, sound is not the carriage," the king said. "What is the carriage?" asked Nagasena. Nagasena told the king, "In the Buddhist sutras it says, 'On account of all these pieces of wood coming together, it comes under the generally understood term, the designation carriage. So is a human. It is on account of the coming together of all those things, the head, the face, the ears, the mouth, the neck, the nape, the shoulder, the arms, the bones, the flesh, the hands, the feet, the livers, the lungs, the heart, the spleen, the kidney, the intestines, the stomach, the complexion, the voice, the breath, the feeling, the inclination, that the general term is understood. The designation in common usage is person. Excellent, excellent Nagasena.